Hello, hello, sweet honeybees. Welcome to the Electric Honey Pot, where energy is the nectar of life. My name is Autumn, and I am so very grateful that you're here giving my channel a chance and giving me a chance. It really does mean a lot to me. I know I look a hot mess right now, but this message is not about the way that I look. Earlier tonight, I went to the grocery store, and as I pulled into my parking space, I noticed this disabled man who was only using one arm and kind of having a hard time getting around. So I got out of my car and I asked him if he would like some help. And he was just like, you know what? Yeah, I actually would. That would be great. So I helped this man push his buggy to his car, load his groceries into his car, and he asked for my name, told me that he was going to pray for me, and I went on my way. His name's Terry, by the way, and I also included him in my prayers tonight. Cue the people that are going to be like, oh, but if you're telling us you only did the good deed for clout, and I don't care what you think, I did it from the goodness of my heart. I saw someone that needed help, and so I helped him. And why am I telling you this story? Because tonight, as I was sitting in my spiritual bath, I did a little bit of reading. I started feeling tired. I put my book down and I closed my eyes. And when I opened my eyes again, I started hearing the part of the Ten Commandments where it is talking about not using God's name in vain. Now, if you have had the kind of upbringing that I've had down in the Bible Belt and within a Christian family, you might be under the impression that using God's name in vain means saying something like, oh my God, or even God damn. But this video is about how that is not what don't use God's name in vain means. It's actually about not cursing God's name, which is cursing someone else, seeing as how each and every one of us are God. You are not to use God's name to curse somebody. You are not to use your spiritual beliefs or your religious beliefs to wish harm upon other people. And yet our world is absolutely full of people that are doing that. In fact, I wrote down the actual definition for vain for you. It means, definition 1, having or showing an excessively high opinion of one's appearance, abilities, or worth. Think of all of these religious leaders in these mega churches that are quite literally using their religion to prop themselves up on pedestals, to make themselves look flashy, to boost their status and their appearance. And think of like what our our politicians are doing, how they're using religion to quite literally place themselves upon these pedestals, tout their superiority over other human beings, and to also perpetuate fear and hatred towards other human beings that aren't like them. And the second definition is producing no results. Say you have this idea from God and not utilize it, which is what I'm doing right now. I had this download, this divine download come into me tonight, and I knew before I got into bed I needed to hop on here and record this because it would not have been sent to me if I weren't meant to talk about it. Editing Autumn here. As I was editing, I also realized that this also means that if you are claiming to be a person of God, then you should be actively taking steps to improve the world and spread God's love. If you are claiming to be of faith, but you aren't taking any kind of action to improve humanity or be in service to humanity, you are using God's name in vain. In Matthew chapter 17, Matthew chapter 7, verse 16, it quite literally says that you will know them by their fruits. And what this means is that you will be able to tell the false spiritual leaders versus true spiritual leaders by their fruits. It's all about actions speaking louder than words. It is a lesson to observe the behaviors of people and how they treat other human beings, because what they project out onto the world through their behaviors and their actions is indication of their true inner spiritual connection, whether or not it exists or not. Or, I mean, we're all spiritual beings, but not everyone has that divine spiritual connection with God. And it reflects in the way that people operate within the world. Jesus's teachings even states that genuine faith produces love, joy, and kindness. It doesn't produce things like fear, hatred, and judgment, even as in the story of Jesus's crucifixion. As he was being crucified, he called out, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." You know, here is this man who was supposedly tortured horribly for his faith and his gifts, and he still called out a message of love and mercy as he was being put to death for his spiritual connection. Think of the way our world leaders, our government leaders, our church leaders are acting. Do their lives actually reflect righteousness, or do they reflect hypocrisy? Do their actions and behaviors towards other people genuinely reflect the messages that their faith claims to teach? Because I don't think it does. I see people using their faith to place themselves upon pedestals, to perpetuate war, to perpetuate human suffering, to perpetuate judgment, hatred, fear, and to keep the human race divided. Whereas all of these spiritual leaders, such as like Buddha and Rama and Muhammad and Jesus, they were all here teaching us how to unite and come into this divine union with our higher selves through love, mercy, joy, kindness, treating people the way that you would want to be treated. And that is what God is. It's unconditional love. It's recognizing that God is within everybody and that you should be seeing the divinity within everybody and treating them with respect and kindness, because that is the way God would treat somebody. And you do unto others what you would have done unto you. And if you are using your faith to promote hatred, fear, and judgment of other human beings, you are using God's name in vain. You are following false leaders, and your faith is hypocrisy. It is not genuine spiritual connection. I ask you to reflect upon your own life, your own behaviors, your own actions, the way that you treat other people and the things that you support. Do they actually align with your faith? If your faith is one that teaches fear, hatred, and judgment, is it really a faith that you should be following? Does that really sound like the love of God to you? I don't know. Just some food for thought. The world is a crazy place right now, and the only way I think it will ever get better is if we come together as the human race. We recognize that we have more in common than we do in differences, and we need to stop allowing these oppressive powers to manipulate our thoughts and how we feel about our fellow human beings. We have to learn how to use discernment to recognize who the false leaders, who the false idols are that people like Yeshua, Jesus, warned us about. That's what I got for you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, week, month, year, and life. Remember that energy never lies, but people do. Stay curious and question everything.